Hi, everybody. Like Kelly, I'm extremely nervous too. I just want to say, Kelly, her first talk was just amazing, and she's a really good expert by experience. So let's give her another hand. You know. I'm shaking too. My name is Robin. I'm a voice hearer. I'm an expert by experience, and I would like to know how many voice hearers are in the house today. We've been talking about human rights. How about get up, stand up, stand up for your right? All your voice hearers, please. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right to be proud of who you are and what you experience. We do it for you. We do it for us. How many family and friends are here? My girlfriend over there. Just two? Yeah, there's more coming up. All right. How many family and friends of voice hearers are in the house? I mean, you can be one or the other. You can be a voice hearer and a friend. You can be a psychiatrist and a friend, of course. And how many people working in mental health care are here tonight? All right. Thanks for coming over, for sharing and learning. How many students are in the house? Yeah. All right. Well, let's start to talk. So I'm Robin. I've been joining the World Congresses since the first one in Maastricht in 2009, I think. And I learned so much and joined the tribe, and I'm really, really glad. Lots of insights, lots of friends. So I'm really thankful to be here. Oh, yeah. Um, After all these things I learned in the worldwide network of hearing voices, I'm fortunate enough to have started a Hearing Voices support center in my hometown. Um, and let's see. Yeah, I'm also an editor of the Klankspiegel, so this is a little bit of who I am. So the situation in the Netherlands, it's a really good thing that the recovery-oriented practices are really, getting off the ground. The idea that recovery is possible, is common. It's becoming the main paradigm of the mental health care in the Netherlands. So that's a really good thing. And this happening, so thanks. There's much more room for experts by experience, for peer support, for help of family and friends. So that's a good thing in general happening in the Netherlands. So this offers fertile ground for the Hearing Voices approach, Hearing Voices network approach. Um, at the same time, there's a new law coming, and as in Greece, we have a crisis too, so they're cutting on funding. And there's a new law actually, I think a little bit hijacking the idea of recovery, in that they say, oh, people can recover, so they need less help, and they can work. So, it's kind of a hijacking, I think. So there's a new law coming up, which offers more work, which is a good thing. But at the same time, individual and specialized care is more difficult to access, and you have to have a DSM diagnosis. So it's really ingrained in the politics to being labeled, you know. So it has a little bit of advantages, but also some disadvantages. Forced in psychiatry, I know what it's like. I've been locked up in isolation cells as well. I got forced medication in the past and stuff like that. And I'm really opposed to that. It used to be my job to help reduce this. And the Netherlands, for a long time, they were the world champion of forced treatments. And the last couple of years, they've been trying to reduce. But at the same time, the new law makes it easier to give people forced treatment. They're proposing a new law. Hopefully this punky lady you see over there, that's Jolijn Santegoeds. She's amazing expert by experience, and she talks with the United Nations about decreasing force in care, in mental health care. And by the way, did you know in 2012 the United decided that force in psychiatry is actually forbidden. It's a form of ill treatment. United Nations actually decided it. So a lot of people don't know. Did you know? But it's actually forbidden to use forced treatment since a couple of years. It's against human rights. So there's a lot of work to do to end this, this thing. As for psychosis, there was a new name found in the Netherlands. Roughly translated, it means susceptibility or vulnerability to psychosis, which I think is a little bit better than the idea of a lifelong biologically determined disease. You have a sensitivity. If the stress gets too high, you might go psycho. But it's an interesting approach. Another good development is the new book about the DSM-5. Jim Van Os, who was in the committee proposing all kinds of changes that didn't make it, he wrote a critique in a new book, and he's saying, why you need all these diagnoses? You just need to ask a couple of just humane questions, like, what have you experienced? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How can I help you? These simple kinds of questions. So it's a good book, and he reaches a lot of people in writing this. And also, fortunately, finally, there's a lot of attention, at least in the research field, for trauma as a cause of psychosis. I think it's a good thing. They did a national survey. They checked all the people who had the diagnosis of psychosis, and they checked whether they had traumatic experiences and traumatic stress. And not strangely to me, but strangely enough, 20% of the people with the diagnosis of psychosis had a undiagnosed post-traumatic stress disorder. So they've been walking around in psychiatry with a post-traumatic stress disorder that was never diagnosed, never treated. They gave these people therapy right away, and they recovered from their traumatic experiences. And interestingly enough, the voices went away as well as soon as the trauma was resolved. I'm a bit shaky as well. Hope you can still follow what I'm saying. So the Dutch Hearing Voices Network. It's where it all started, where Marius and Sandra in the 80s started Stichting Weerklank, and it spread worldwide now, the INTERVOICE network. But strangely enough, in the Netherlands, it's relatively small. There are only a couple of hearing voices groups, and it's not really a network, it's a foundation of a couple of people who do a lot of work, but it's not a big and strong network. I think that would be good if it would happen the couple of next years. What is happening is a lot of collaboration with allies.
Sorry.
Yeah?
I was told you can use this one.
Okay, but I can look as well at the same time. There's some translations being done the last couple of years. The book by Tilly Gerritsma and Titus Brandsma. It's really rather normal. It's being translated to English. I hope it's available here. I don't know. Do you know, Dirk? Maybe at Congress? I don't know either. And we translated the Melbourne Declaration into Dutch. Susanne Engelen, maybe some of you know her. She's a good expert by experience. She translated some stuff from the English Hearing Voices Network. And I didn't write it down, but also Gil Hornstein's book, Agnes's Jacket, has been translated. So there's a lot of projects going on within Weerklank and with allies. For instance, the trainings, of course, by Dirk, Marius and Sandra. There are a couple of new hearing voices groups coming along. And we're now collaborating with people from all over the country to do research into the effects of hearing voices groups. And of course, the Hearing Voices Support Center, which I founded in my hometown. And we're very fortunate to get course for both voice hearers, friends and family of voice hearers, and mental health care workers together, working in the same course, getting to understand each other and figuring out how to help each other. I'm going to write a book for this in normal people's language, and it's going to be for free on the internet. And hopefully someday it will be translated into English as well. So, yeah, that's what's going on in the Netherlands. In general, you could say the Netherlands is kind of a mecca of hearing voices with the work of Maris and Sandra and INTERVOICE growing out of it. There's also a lot of brain imaging research being done in Utrecht, which is, I think, really interesting, even though the people doing it have a more biomedical view. The results are very interesting. It's kind of like Julian Jaynes' bicameral mind thing. I will talk about this later in my talk. And there's also advances in the cognitive behavioral therapy. There are different kinds of CBT nowadays for voices that lead to shame, or voices that lead to depression, things like that. And the fun thing, I think, is the CBT for jinns, magic, and spirits. And it's a new CBT. CBT used to be about changing thoughts and also changing beliefs. And the INTERVOICE, like in the Melbourne Declaration, says, like, you can keep your beliefs, but in psychiatry they say it's lack of insight in your disease, and it's a, how do you call this? Een waan? Delusion. A delusion. And there's now a new CBT where people can keep their beliefs. And this happened because jinns, these are spirits in the Islamic world, all the Islamic people see them as a reality. So because it's shared by millions of other people, you cannot say it's a delusion. So they made a new CBT, and I think it's an interesting development that people don't have to change their beliefs. And there's a new questionnaire, a self-info questionnaire. It's not like the Maastricht interview, but you get an idea of how many voices, how many